Welcome back, everybody, to the show that never ends. It's Seeking a Thread here, and I want to present two records today, two that were big acquisitions and two I was really stoked to get. And these are two that I have long had reissues of and were favorites that I certainly earmarked were priorities to somehow get original copies of, and I have acquired them. Well, the first one is one, well, you know what? Let's just start getting into it. You know, there's a whole little story behind each. Well, mainly the second one. So, these are two Psych records. I got a couple of Psych-based videos coming up. We're listening to something that is psychedelic, but modern. This is on the Carbon Records label. Joe Tunis runs this label out of Rochester, which is not far from me. And he was on my live stream a few weeks ago. And this is by Will Veeder. Will Veeder is a musician, multi-instrumentalist who's been in bands out of Rochester for many years, 25, 30 years. And he's done a few various releases, but this seems to be one of his first solo records proper. It's called The Lost and Found. And it's a little, yes, it's kind of that American primitive style a bit, but also shades of like Jackie O Motherfucker and experimental folk and atmospheric sounds. So we're going to listen to this, recorded in 2023, mastered by James Plotkin, one of those mastering engineers no one talks about. And you can get this now, Carbon Records. So let's check this out. So these two records, definitely on the upper echelon of expensive records that I've acquired. The second one being the most expensive now record I've ever bought, and I'm still paying that one off. But these are both almost a shout out to Jonas, Vinyl Stockholm, who we have such similar taste. We're really looking for a lot of the same things. His collection's incredible from what I've seen, and we talk quite a bit. So Jonas, thank you. And he did a few Acid Archives videos, and they've all been great. And three of them were serious records that I was like way on my hopeful list. And let's get into the first one. The first one is the Brazda Brothers. Now, both of these videos he's done, as I said, Acid Archives entries on, which you can still do entries, people. We're not done. So I'm going to link to his videos. But this is one that I had, the Void Records reissue, which I had sold last year. You know, I've slowly been replacing reissues. And I could do a long-ass 3, 4, 5-part video on all the reissues I bought. To replace the reissue, all the originals I bought that have replaced reissues, and this is certainly one of them. Brazda Brothers, 1973, Slovakian duo of Andy Brazda and Bijin Brazda, acoustic guitars and songwriters. Somehow they ended up in Canada, and I won't get too far into the story. You should watch Jonas's video. But they made this LP, and this is a RCA subsidiary, as you can see by the format of the label on the Dominion label. Not much on this label. I actually meant to look and see what else was on this. I got this through as I do a lot of the time now, through Discogs, but not. You know, I see something come up on Discogs, and I message the seller asking for pictures, and we end up making a deal outside, and it makes it worthwhile for that seller, and makes it worthwhile for me. And this was good. The sleeve is a little bit on the VG side, but overall nice shape. The record is a nice VG plus, plays well. Now these guys made this one off album, and it's got a certain naivete, a certain whimsical, I should say wistful, not whimsical, but it's got a really good, it's a acid folk rock record, I would say, more on the folk rock side, with psychedelic leanings. Maybe it's not. I find that there is a difference between acid folk and psychedelic folk. This is more on the psychedelic folk side. Acid folk is like really like, I think of like one man or one woman sort of projects that they're really sort of like projecting a bit of an air of unstableness. We'll talk about that in a future video. But so there's 5 musicians playing, and the thing that really makes this record stand out, I always thought it was a synthesizer, but it's actually the Vox, and Jonas talks about that in his video. It's basically like an accordion, but a lot of times it sounds like a synthesizer, and it really adds a really interesting dimension to this record. Not only that, but there's a grooviness to this. The drummer is really going for it on this LP, and it's special. It's just one of these special, interesting, doesn't sound like anything else, psych folk records. But folk rock, I'd say, if you like folk rock, it doesn't rock. It folk rocks, you know. There's a little bit of a description on the back. It talks about where they came from a little bit, and then living in Canada. I guess this is recorded, in Toronto, Ontario. Manufactured and distributed by Canadian Music Sales Corp, Toronto, Ontario. The Dominion label, Brazda Brothers. I'm not going to read the Acid Archives entry on it. You know, it's again, you can watch Jonas's video, but this is just one that really, lives in a really cool space for me. I love the songs. The songs are really good songs to this. Walking in the Sun, the first song, is probably the highlight, but I really also love Lonely Time towards the end of the record. I think Calm River at the end of the first side. And look at these guys back there. This was a pretty pricey one, but one that was, fair enough. Was hoping to get a little more towards the median, but this is one that, like I said, when it came to getting rid of reissues, a lot of them I know I'm never getting back. And then there's all these others that I think I can, and this one I put high on that list. So I really love this LP. I've listened to it quite a bit. I got this probably like around the first of the year, and just been enjoying it. The Brazda Brothers, self-titled, 1973, released on this Dominion label. Again, Canadian label. Really sweet. Not a lot of records like this. Very unique songwriting abilities, and that Vox really gives it an interesting flavor and twist.
Take me back into the mountains where nobody can disturb my peaceful soul. You will see, I'll play for you. It's still one of the best friend of mine. My journey will take me to the cradle of the sun, where everybody's meek as a lamb, walking in the sun, walking in the sun. My body will refresh in a pure stream, and the spirit will get.
Just a beautiful album. And speaking of beautiful, here's one now that is exceptionally rare. Apparently, the Brazda Brothers, there's a couple thousand records pressed on that. This next one, I believe, is only 300 pressed, and it's one that I have to thank Psychedelic. We'll tell the quick story. I've been talking to people about this record for a long time. I remember querying Lance. He was going out to Den Bosch. I'm like, take a look for this record for me. Not knowing how I'd even handle it, but he didn't see it. I forget if Lance has this or not, but I am talking about Shadrack Chameleon out of Iowa. Very rare album. This is a downer rock acid rocks slash like teen, a little bit of folk, but we'll call it downer rock. Of course, yeah, a little bit of psychedelia to it, but more sort of like teen angst, sort of like a little primitive, a little bit sort of unlearned, you know what I mean? Like, they're coming from a very innocent place. It's more sort of like lo-fi rock than psychedelic rock, but certainly that's in there. This is one I never thought I'd own because it fetches 4 figures at times, and I was able to do way better than that, but still expensive. So I'll have to find the video as well as linking to Vinyl Stockholm's record videos. I'm going to link to Derek's video. He came across this in a antique shop in Iowa, not far from where this band made this record. I forget the exact town he found it, but he was talking about the story, and he was looking through their records. I forget if it was hidden or not, and it wasn't like it was priced $1, but it was in a box or something, and he asked the owner about it, and they were like, oh yeah, those guys live near here. And I think Derek was like, how much you want for it? And they wanted some obscene amount. It was one of those things where it wasn't priced. They're like, well, let's see what this is worth or whatever, and they gave him a price, which he wasn't going to do. But it got me thinking, this probably goes back to 8-9 months ago. The video will be on the link, and I thought about it, I'm like, hey Derek, because Derek also I've talked with, I'm like, just curious, where'd you get that, or what can you tell me about it? And Derek's like, if you want to contact them, you're more than welcome to. I'm certainly not going to pony up for it. This is the original IGO label. And I did, and they want a crazy price for it. Derek was right, and I just said, okay, no problem. I checked in with that antique dealer maybe 4 or 5 months later. I actually looked on their Facebook, and they had pictures of the band, one of the members of the band holding this. They had it all over their Facebook, like, hey, we're looking to sell it. And I checked in with the owner again, still hadn't sold it, and the price was now a little lower. I'm like, that's still pretty high. I don't think I offered him anything for it. I was like, that's still pretty high, but good to know. And he said something about he might put it on Discogs. I'm like, okay, I'll look out for that, because this doesn't even show up on Discogs ever. And then it got me thinking again, because I play this reissue quite a bit. Still have the reissue, of course, on this. But around in January, I forget why, but I contacted him again. I'm like, hey, you still have that Shadrack Chameleon? And they're like, yep, still have it. I'm like, okay. Here we go. Let's talk turkey. I'm like, let's make a deal. I offered him an amount for it, and he was like, I can't do that, but I think I could do this. And he offered a little higher. And I looked at my funds. I looked at the old PayPal pay-in installments, and I pulled the trigger. And I felt a little bit nuts for a second, but just knowing I was going to hold an original copy of Shadrack Chameleon, also from 1973. Got me pretty excited. And this was definitely, you'd call this a grail. I call it a mega-want. But this is like in the unseen territory type thing. So out of Iowa, they were originally just called Shadrack. They were sort of a fledgling band. They made this studio record. The main guy is Steve Fox. You can look at he's in the foreground there. And the song that I love the most is Granite Feast. It's a bit of a short record, by the way. But Granite Feast is this slice of like really catchy, really sort of fried downer, like Neil Young ripper. It's great. The vocals are really innocent and sort of like I said, like really have like a teen quality to it. But I find these songs great. And then the other one that I knew was Don't Let It Get You Down, which was originally featured on the Forge Your Own Chains comp, which I have right here, actually. Yeah. Forge Your Own Chains, Shadrack Chameleon, where is it? Yeah, track 30, it's the start of the D side there. Great comp. This got me into a bunch of records. But, so yeah, I dealt with the dealer, he shipped it to me. I paid directly to them, and it showed up. And it's a nice copy. It's basically a VG sleeve, but it's in no major problems with this. The record, there was video on Facebook, I believe it was, of the record playing, so I could test it. It's got a few marks that don't look great, but it plays strong with very little issue. A few pops here and there. This is one of those records that, a small vanity press, basically. So you're not looking at an audiophile pressing, but it's in pretty good shape. You'd grade this a low VG plus probably, but it plays VG plus. It doesn't play with much crackle. There's just a few pops at various spots, but it actually sounds quite good. So, man, I was so stoked to get this, and so Derek, thank you for turning me on to this. I think he was pretty surprised I made it happen. I still have the reissue. I really like the tail. It gives you the insert with the whole story. I'll just give you reissue with newly remastered sound of this teen basement psych rock private pressing from the Midwest, 1973. Great distorted guitars, organ, melancholic vocals, yes. Raw homemade vibe. Homemade vibe is big piece there. Inventive songs and some cool Neil Young Crazy Horse influences, definitely. File next to Rain with a Y. A personal favorite of mine that seems to sound better with each passing year. Patrick Lundborg said that. And the insert just talks a little bit about their story and how they recorded it. And I don't think there's any other pictures to it yet. Oh, there's like a little news clipping of them. So, Steve Fox is the guy. I think they were really young. But basically John Porter, well, it says it on the back of this record, off the back of the original too. Steve Fox, John Brangsgard, Dan Dodger, whatever. John Porter, organ. The organ on this is great. All the organ songs are great. This is one of those private rock. This is one of those ones that's so big for me. So I don't go for these types of records at this level unless it's a really important one to me. And this one is. The whole thing's great. It's only 6 songs, but I just love every song on it so much. Especially Granite Feast. Granite Feast is killer. Yeah, this is the Outsider reissue. I'm holding on to this for now. We'll see. But out of Dodge, Iowa. So that's the basic and the gist of the 2 major grails. Yeah, I guess they're grails. This one in particular, Mega-Wants. Really happy. This is a cornerstone now of the collection. So check this one out. The reissue I think is readily available from this is a Gerson subsidiary, I believe, Outsider. You can get that. I highly recommend it. I love it. So link below to Derek's original video where he talked about where this came from, and yes, this is the copy that Derek alluded to. You never see this. Does not turn up. It's as it says in the insert, probably only 300 of these. So with things like this that were just local releases, like how many of these got thrown away, how many of these got destroyed, and then there's probably some that are just sitting in people's collections or could be sitting in a basement somewhere. With only 300, the probability of this turning up was not high, and this is Iowa. So again, really stoked. Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Jonas, for your videos. And I just wanted to share those 2 to give them some special love because they're really important records to me and will always be with me here in this collection. So again, we've been listening to Will Veeder, The Lost and Found on Carbon Records. Beautiful record here. All right, hope you enjoyed that. Thanks, y'all. Take care.
And I knocked on the door to find what I was looking for. My eyes were blind, but I could not see why they would not talk to me. And the court clown danced upon the table and threw the porcelain to the ground. And the marble structured granite feast set my head spinning all around. years.